Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Pri Cosentino, who's the founder and financial advisor at Fern Prosperity, and we'll be talking about her new Amazon best-selling book, The New Rules of Money. Pri, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Mike. It's always a pleasure to be here with you.
Hey, I'm looking forward to chatting with you because I know that many people, I started to say most people, but there's a lot of people out there that would go, one of these days I'm going to write a book. You've done it. You hit bestseller. And so I want to hear all about what your book is about, because sometimes when you hear about, the rules of money, well, I want to hear about the new rules of money. So get us started with what inspired you to write this book, The New Rules of Money.
Excellent question, Mike. What inspired me was seeing a lot of books still talking about great strategies, but that was stuck in the past, where we would keep our mindset thinking how the market and the traditions used to happen. I grew up listen enough. Social Security will be enough. I have my pension, but nowadays that's not anymore how retirement works. So we need to start thinking with this new way in how all the system is working, and said, I cannot have only this for me. I have to share with others because that has a big impact in my life. So I can help others.
And that I always like to, when I'm hearing conversations, think in myself going, I wonder what those older ways are and some of the new ways. So talk a little bit about what some of the newer, financial playbook strategies are that you're talking about in there, because I think that sometimes people go, yeah, but they're traditional and tried and true and trusted. So I don't want to get into doing anything that's new and not proven. What do you say to someone that would go, yeah, I'm open to thinking about some new things, but I want to have some of that safety and security too?
So I think the most important piece is understanding that money has a ton to do with our mindset. And that's a big misunderstanding about the past. When we are talking about the past, we would say, just save your money, you will have money for your retirement. That would be enough. We grew up like that. Put money aside and that's enough. Nowadays, doesn't work anymore like that, because we are so overwhelmed with so many informations, options, solutions, promises, that if we don't work our mindset and we don't understand what that means, we can even make a lot of money and don't be able to save enough.
That's huge. So, I think we could probably talk for about 6 more hours on mindset alone. What are some of the traps that people fall into when you've noticed some of these mindset traps, or misconceptions, I guess maybe would be a good way to think of it?
So one of the biggest misconceptions is the promise that you can do everything and make huge amount of money on a snap. Because of the dopamine that we have nowadays, that's so big. So a lot of people use that same system, and we don't see that only, the dopamine only with money, but that has a lot of effect on us. But we see that on social media, we see that on TV, and that just have become, we get upset. I don't know, you might, or anyone that's listening here to us, but how many times just the ring of a text message get us already anxious? Because we know that we need to answer that message. And that happens with our money too. Because I think one of I might even say like a line that's in the book that for me was super important, say something like that. The portfolios will rise and fall. That's the few things that we know. Everything else, we need to understand what makes sense for the person that's investing. But the mindset has to stay steady. And that's the biggest piece of all of this. That's why I say that the New Rules of Money talks a lot about mindset, because we need to understand all the fears that we have inside. We have to understand all the dopamine that's involved with all of this so we can be ready and make the right decisions financially.
And sometimes those things require specific actions or tasks, but before you even know what specific actions and tasks, you need to be aware. So like what you were saying, like, oh, when you get that text and there's a pit in your stomach, or you, like, for instance, for a retiree, here comes my mail getting delivered and I'm opening up my portfolio statement and you're getting nervous. Like, did it go up or down, or what did the market do? So what are some of those triggers or some of those flags that people can be thinking about to be aware of them, so that then they can put steps in place to kind of change or update their mindset?
I think to initiate everything needs to understand what they are right now. So really have a picture of their financial scenario. And I know we are afraid of looking for our bills. We are afraid of looking of the cost of things. Be careful with subscriptions, because all of that includes also have a clear picture of what they are looking for in the future. So how do I want to retire? How do I want my next few years, my investments to be looking like? When I have this clear picture, then I can start looking for the tools, like you said. What are the tools? What's the best strategy for me to get there? As well as, is my feelings with my emotions being the one triggering my financial decisions, or am I making the financial decisions based on education, the right strategies? Because emotions can trigger different reactions. When we enter in our fight or fight mode, we can completely not see the right path and just react in a way that can completely destroy us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And in your book, you talk about the WISE method. Talk a little bit about what that is.
So the WISE method is starting with education. Every single person is smart. Every single person is wise. The hardest part for us, especially nowadays, is educating ourselves with the right tools, because there is a lot of things that happens online. We can find full of strategies, of options, AI helping, but everything needs to make sense and be tied up. So we need to first educate ourselves with the exactly scenario, then see this picture, where I am right now, what's my desire, what matters for you the most. Then we go and create the insights to be able to pull what is good for you, for your plan. And then the best part, for sure, that's enjoying the investments that we have created, in enjoying your retirement, enjoying your legacy. And that's the best of it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's really good. What about some of the acronym for WISE? You say that, I love when people say, I've got this methodology or this framework. Talk a little bit about what the WISE stands for.
Sure. So the W stands for wisdom, this education piece, that's understanding of the right knowledge for yourself. The I for insight. So really developing the right path, what matters for you the most. So we can put the right strategy, the S for strategy, so you can develop each step of the way, cater to you, cater to the person that's investing, because that's a big piece when we are talking about our plans, our financial plans, our legacy plans. It's not about what everyone is doing, but needs to cater what importance for you the most. And as I mentioned, the E goes for enjoyment. The best part of all of it, because it's not for us to have fear of our money or fear of our retirement, but really for us to be able to get to the best part of our life after working so many years and being able to enjoy, to have fun with our loved ones, to travel, to do whatever we want.
Yep, exactly. It's really something that people, I think it's like, you don't know you don't know till you know, and they're unaware of things. And I think that when you start bringing up some of these points, that ties into wisdom, because wisdom is knowing something you didn't know before. And then insight is knowing, the specific way to implement something. And then strategy is, okay, how do I do it the right way? And then the result is the enjoyment that comes from doing all that the right way. Talk a little bit about how those tie together. And did I assess that correctly?
Yes, Mike, you did assess perfectly. Exactly that. So wisdom was when you can understand everything in the right way, getting the right information and understanding that when you have the right piece of information, you know the right decision that fits you better. You have that inside you. What happens most is that a lot of times we don't have any idea of what we are making as a decision because we don't have the full knowledge.
Yeah.
And when you go and you understand inflation, when you understand what safety means for you, when you understand what investment, when you understand what aggressive risk means, what lifestyle that you want, what matters to you. Do you want to have a family legacy? Maybe you want to create a donation legacy. All of those things can only be part, and you would understand the education needed for those pieces. We go for the insights so we can start seeing how can all of these plans start fitting together, designing all of this, and then plugging the right strategy. Okay, so now we see the design, we see the path. Let's put this strategy together. Let's plug piece by piece, use all the tools available to get that desire, that goal in place so everything can follow for the best as possible. And we keep organizing and revisiting all of this. And as I mentioned, the last piece is when you can enjoy. You stop fearing out opportunities and you start really being able to see, no, I'm okay. I know, I understand. I understand that the market can go up and down. I understand that volatility exists. I understand how the inflation is going to affect my retirement. I can understand each piece with clarity and not with a ton of noises that exist nowadays.
And, probably when you lay out a plan for a client, sometimes people can get overwhelmed and feel like I'm just so confused. But when you're tying each recommendation back to some of these frameworks, I would venture to say that people would feel more congruent because you just took them through the process to create their own framework, the WISE framework. And now you're making some recommendations. And as they have questions, you can tie it right back to that first step or that third step or that fifth step. Have you found that in your conversations with clients?
Yes, I have. I'm actually just when you were sharing that, I was thinking about some kids with one of my clients that we were talking exactly about that. We are starting to design the legacy plan for them, and that has a huge impact because it's not only the legacy piece of putting everything into place, but also the young adults. I wasn't going to say kids, but that's me trying to be, it's not kids anymore, right? But the young adults
Yep.
understanding how to deal with money as well. That's part of the legacy plan, understanding about all of these pieces. So the parents can say, okay, now you know what we are talking about. Now you understand how all this structure works. But that plan can only be set in place, and we can only put the strategies together, including strategies for the kids, when we were able to start with wisdom, explaining the whole picture, understanding that deep, creating the right insights, starting developing the plan. In the beginning is overwhelming, but with conversation and understanding and education pieces and meetings, we can design all of this in a few hours, and that can make you feel much more comfortable with your decision. That's when clarity comes to you because you know what's going on. You
Yeah.
understand what's going to happen in 1 year, 2 years. If something else happens, you have a knowledge. Where do they have to? I have the money invested. What's the best way for me if I need to grab some money early? Because life happens. We all know about that.
It makes me remember some of the teachings of Stephen Covey, where he said, begin with the end in mind. And Simon Sinek, start with the why. And I think that if you were to say to someone, here's my recommendation for your retirement, buy this and invest in that and put your money here, people would go, yeah, but that's doesn't resonate with what I was looking for. You never asked me all those questions. So when you're beginning with this WISE method, it's beginning with the end in mind, asking the right questions and asking the why. Once you have that why in place, now Pri is putting together this plan to go, oh, well, based on the fact that you said, here's some of the ideas that I would recommend. So I think that would help. Am I correct in thinking that will help make those recommendations be really zeroed in on what the client needs versus, it's like you go to the doctor and say, oh, I'm in pain, help me. Well, is your toe hurting or your head hurting?
Exactly. That's exactly it. You're not just taking some type of generic painkiller that you say, go take this, and after 2 days come back if you're still in pain. That's not how we can plan our financial life. That's not how it should. Let me correct. That should not how you should be able to do it. You have to go deep and said. You mentioned Simon Sinek. Start with your why. Why you want that, and that's one of the questions that a lot of times. Why this money is important? We have to remember. Money is a tool that is really useful for us. Money is a tool that's super powerful and can really help us in a lot of senses, because it can help us enjoying time with family, enjoying vacation, enjoying a quality life on retirement, can enjoy us helping the community. It's a powerful tool. We cannot ignore that. Money is not our king, but it's a powerful tool that exists. Now, if you don't understand why you're using that tool, it's hard. So how can you try to put a picture on the wall with a pen? That's not going to work if you know what you want to do and why you want to do it. Because I want to have that picture on the wall, because I want to have my family seeing that picture, or my diploma. Then I can have that and say, okay, now I can choose which right tool will fit in. A pen will not cut it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, I'll tell you, Pri, this has been really eye-opening to hear how you structured the content of this book as to be more why and more structure, framework than recommendations and products and choices. So this is really a great foundational truth. If someone is interested in picking up a copy of the book and reaching out and connecting with you, what's the best way that they can do that?
They can go to my website, pricosentino.com, and you have a direct link to the book. You will be able to have other tools and book a meeting with me as well. We can talk more about other mindset traps that can sabotage your wealth. And there is a lot of options that can change. The new rules of money can affect your wealth in your retirement.
Excellent. Pri, thank you for coming on today. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you, Mike.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.